demographic advantage which we have over the developed world, where the aging population is more and the social costs are increasing. We have a younger population at a higher level, and here we have to make sure that we are in a position to be able to prepare them for jobs or employment within the country and outside the country. And that means we have to invest on their education. We have to invest on their health. We have to invest on their skills development. Unfortunately, if you see our allocation situation, we are investing more money on higher education, by the way, rather than what we should, rather than the primary education or the higher education, the secondary education. Our larger component of amount is going on the higher education. And whatever we are investing on the education, secondary or the primary or medium level, 80% of that is going on the administrative costs. This is something, is a great threat and a problem for us. If we are not in a position to prepare this younger population of ours to be able to be employed within the country and outside the country, and if we are not in a position to create basically the skill sets which are required, times are gone. We could have sent any unskilled worker to Middle East at one time. You don't need unskilled workers to go anywhere. You need the skill sets, the specific skill sets which are needed for the people, and this is where we need, and an honorable member sitting here from a Sindh Assembly, who's the Speaker of the Assembly, we need a Marshall Plan for this human resource development. And I assure you we lack it. I assure you we lack it. We need on a Marshall footing, on a basis where we should be working on this, and a lot of investment should be going. And I take this particular exception to the economic policy framework, even if our deficit next year goes from 4% to 5%, but this differential of 1% goes as an investment in education and health. It is worth doing it for the country like ours. So that basically is the area where we have to see that what has happened. Our unemployment has gone up. Cost on education, whatever the PSTV was there, was cut down due to our cash crunch. We have not even invested what we allocated for that purpose. It's being cut down. And on a federal level, if you look at the total investment which we make on health and education is 2.5% of our GDP. Is 2.5% of our GDP on health and education both together. And that includes the major allocation which is for our higher education sector, which we have kept, the HSC, the Higher Education Commission, and the projects which they have started, which are good on their own. But what we need are different. Our priorities have to be different, and those priorities have to be corrected for our purpose. Now, let's see how we have done in terms of the manufacturing and industry and exports. Manufacturing sector I have just described to you has shown some productivity gains, but on the other hand, and that is due to the investment made last year. If you look at the investment figure this year, there will be a slight base up after that. If you see the social share in GDP, if you go into that, please move forward. I'll just social indicators, slide 21. Slide 21. It is an important slide. Slide 21. Now, that slide will show you on a population front, we basically here the figure are given 166.5, but I know that there is a survey which is in process, and the provisional estimates which are coming out of that survey shows that our population is somewhere around 180 billion rather than 160. We are around about 180. The Honorable President the other day in a speech said it is 200. But what provisional figures which we have seen basically is that the figure is 180 billion. Unemployment rate I have already told you. Our per capita income is $1,095. It has changed from 669 from 2003, 2004 to $1,095. And it is important because Indian situation is similar at the moment, that their basically per capita income at this stage is 1,119 basically dollar. But what is the difference? And I'd like to talk about it. The difference is that the independent economic experts who are sitting and doing a study for this region, South Asia, Asia region as a whole, and which they call three Asias. The term used is three Asias basically. Three Asias is one, strong economies like China and India, these are the strong economies. Then the economies which are dependent on their domestic demands in a big way, which are a number of countries. And the third one is the one which are trade dependent economies like Hong Kong, like Singapore, like Taiwan, which are the trade dependent. So they call it three Asias. Their estimate is, and I like to repeat that estimate, their estimate is that the Indian 1,119 in 10 years will grow to $3,830. And let me tell you what is their estimate for Pakistan in 10 years. The Pakistan estimate in 10 years is that from the current 1,000 will grow to 1,439, which will not be even half of the India situation in next 10 years to come. And these are the independent estimates done by international bodies which are engaged actually in coming up and looking at economies. This is the one different side, the darker side, which I am trying to highlight. There is the positive side also, by the way. I have seen a study done by McKinsey very recently. And in that study, they say, well, fine, the India and China are high economic growth countries. But in the emerging economies, when they list the emerging economies, Pakistan, out of the rest of the countries, is rated at number 4. And the logic which they give is very, very different. And it's interesting. Yeah, I don't have that much time to share the whole logic with you, that what they're saying and how they're saying that it will be the 4th economy. But I agree that the potential is there and the potential exists. But unfortunately, we have to work for that potential to be exploited and achieved. Total investment, which I was trying to highlight to you. In 2003-2004, we were making 16.6% of GDP as our total investments. And we are doing 16.6 again now in 2009-2010, which has gone down from last year of 19 and the year before that of 22. It is the lowest actually in the world. It is the lowest at the moment in the world. And our saving rate, interestingly, is 13.8, which is again, in 2003-04, we were having a saving of 17.9. Our saving is 13.8. India's saving is 25. Now, see the difference which is there in terms of various things. Now, with this scenario, where investment is constrained, partly due to no fault of ours, we have a problem of security situation in the country. We have a problem where the foreign direct investment has been affected. We have a problem where we have a heavy cost being incurred due to the terrorist activities and the militancy which is taking place, which is costing about 2.2 to 2.5% of our GDP. That is obvious, that's a fact, and we all have to recognize that that is something which is there. We cannot continue in this way for very, very long. It is not sustainable, ladies and gentlemen. But what is happening in this situation where your investment is constrained, your savings go to the lowest